entertainmentbuddha.com.
Kenganana. Hey now everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Thrones Time. It's Matt, Nick, and Keith, and we've got some Game of Thrones stuff to talk about. That's right, show's still a few months away. I mean, we're at least 4 months probably from the day one drop. Last time we turned on the mics, we revealed that the show will be premiering or coming back in April, but we still don't know a firm date. So what are we going to talk about? Well, a few things. We've got some speculative stuff. We've got some Watson-level IBM predicting type of shit. And we've got the first teaser for Game of Thrones Season 8, which is the epitome of a teaser. Don't get too excited. I mean, first off, if you're just now hearing that the teaser came out, shame on you. It's been out for a few weeks. Shame on us. We've been doing some other shit with Star Wars Time, at least Nick and I, trying to get that thing up and running on StarWarsTime.net. But we're here, and we're ready to talk about all things current and new in the land of Game of Thrones. All right, boys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and start with, who was this? I think Vanity Fair put out an article where they dug up 18 secrets, Easter eggs, and revelations hiding in 7 seasons of scripts, referring to the scripts for the show. So it sounds like someone got a hold of this or was posted on the Writers Guild Foundation, and of course, Game of Thrones geeks like us, they pour through it and kind of they tried to infer anything they could have got from the script that might not have carried over to the show, the shoot, the scene, or whatever. All right, so first one up there, and I don't know, I mean, did you guys question this? But their first revelation is, yes, Cersei really is pregnant. Was that something you guys questioned, or did you kind of take it for, at face value towards the end of Season 7? When her and Jamie were having their little talk?
I don't know, man. I kind of have a tendency to question a little bit of everything when it comes to like scripts, because like it until I see it in the show, I'm gonna maintain a healthy level of skepticism. Sure, yeah, you know, we have kind of the quote from the script here is when Cersei first tells Jamie about her pregnancy, the script reads, she nods, it's true, her happiness is contagious. They get another chance at family, this time with no one standing in the way. And then when later, when Tyrion kind of figures it out, him figuring it out was apparently not some sort of plot. The script says Tyrion sees what he sees and knows what it means. He can hardly believe it, but knows it to be true. She stays silent for too long enough to tell him that he's right. And once she knows, he can think of nothing else to say. Oh, God, I don't know. Part of me...
Sounds like a song lyric, to be honest with you.
He sees what he sees, and
that's
he
what
knows
I mean,
it to
dude.
be true.
When you were singing, I was like, dude, you might as well just start slapping the bass and sing it.
Yeah. But no, I don't know, man. And guys, please feel free to, tell me that I'm,
No, I think it's interesting, especially because English is your
here.
profession. The written word is your profession. So you probably infer different meanings than maybe even Nick and I would infer from the written word, in this case, the script. I guess when I was watching the show, I just was kind of like, yeah, I don't think she's probably full of shit. I think this is what she wanted. She's kind of a creep anyways. Mm-hmm. But I do see what you're saying, like the word, the way it's written, you could still be like, yeah, okay, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and mostly because, these are their not stage directions, but they're directions to the actors. Right. She smiles, Tyrion figures it out. Cersei's a really fucking good actor. And, maybe this is character that we're getting here, and maybe it's actually plot, but maybe it's just direction from Weiss and Benioff to Lena Headey. to just kind of, give her kind of an insight into how she's supposed to be acting here to push it along. I don't know. I don't know. It could very well be that she actually is pregnant. It could also very well be that, it's a really, really well written and well acted type of thing. Like she wants it to be true. And so it's
good point.
Being played off like it's true.
What's your take on it, Nick?
I'm in the other camp. I fully believe that she will say and do whatever she has to anyone she has to, because that's what she's done the entire series.
Right. And it kind of failed anyways, right? I mean,
yeah.
The whole reason to do this was maybe to try to keep Jamie with her, but we know what happens in the end.
Right. I'm not sure if there's anything beyond keeping Jamie near her that she's doing it. Or I just refuse to believe that she's actually telling the truth, because she's told the truth so little in the entire series that, name another person in the show. I mean, she's up there with Littlefinger as far as lying and deceit goes, right? Is there anyone else that's as bad as those two?
We've said it before that, I mean, at least in my opinion, she's one of the best game players out there. I mean, Littlefinger had his run, but at least in the show version, he clearly fucked up. I mean, he got a little too cocky and got played by a young girl. But, yeah, I mean, I think Cersei's one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why I kind of think that I didn't buy it when it happened. I was like, oh, this is just another one of Cersei's games. I still don't buy it now. It would be an extreme surprise to me if she truthfully, honestly was carrying a child.
I don't even know what point it would serve in season 8 unless her and Jamie do have one more standoff and the little kid like peeks around from her skirt or something. Right? I mean, narratively, what would her being pregnant serve at this point?
Mercy really when John's ready to slice her head off.
That's what I mean. Like it's just it's the mercy thing.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of, but I don't know if Dany would be as merciful in that regard.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm with both of you. I mean, definitely from the written aspect, it really could be interpreted either way. From the pure just fantasy-based Cersei character, she's an evil bitch. Wouldn't put it past her whatsoever. All right, next up. We've got, and I think we kind of questioned this last year when we talked about the finale, and I think we at least made a point, like, why was Tyrion being so creepy watching Jon and Dany kind of hook up for the first time? And apparently it's because he loves her too, like, not just as his queen and he's her hand, he actually loves her.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing too where you don't really think about it throughout their time together. So I'm rewatching it now, and I'm in season 6. Tyrion is in Meereen. Dany had just been taken away from with Drogon. It's kind of off with the Khalasar that she eventually overtakes. But you don't really think about it at that time until they're on the boat and Dany's in the cabin with Jon. Then you see Tyrion's face. You see him listening through the door in that very creepy way. I question, is he in love with her because, as some theories go, he is a Targaryen or has Targaryen blood in him? There's obviously that theory there. So if that's the case, then it would kind of make sense why he's in love with her, because, they enjoy incest. And, or is he in love with her because he truly believes her cause and her claim? Not necessarily just like, oh, wow, she's a beautiful woman, but she's obviously incredibly smart, very powerful, has obviously grown a lot as a conqueror throughout the show. So has he fallen in love with, I guess, the concept of her as a ruler as opposed to the person themselves?
I think Tyrion's somebody that's always just wanted to be loved, period. I mean, look what he did with Shay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was willing to sacrifice that and jeopardize him being hand, this, that, and the other thing because he thought that she loved him. We found out that was just a bunch of BS. So, I mean, I don't know. I genuinely think he's probably attracted to her, as are most men in Westeros. I mean, we've I mean, we know that in the show. We know she's a beautiful woman to look at. The way it's written in the book, same thing. She's very intoxicating. So I don't know. I mean, I also think Tyrion would fuck a hole in the wall too. I mean, give him enough wine and he'd go to town. Down in what's it called, Flea Bottom. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy used to love whorehouses. So I don't know. I do think I think it's more than just a lusty love. It is. I think it's a blend of what Hershey was saying, where he loves who she has the potential to be, loves the allure, the power. But I don't know. I also think Tyrion's a completely different guy at this point in time than who he was when we met him season 1 too. I don't think he is just I want my power, my respect, my money, my whores. I mean, I think he has learned throughout his journeys now that that's not really everything. And, people, friends, love, family, whatever you want to call it, is pretty important.
Yeah, I'm very much with you in that he's a different person than he was 7 seasons ago. And I kind of tend to fall on the, if we are saying that Tyrion's romantically in love with Dany, that it's some sort of idealized version of her. She treats him like a person and like the really smart, capable, intelligent person that he is. And I think he is maybe in love with the idea of the kind of ruler that she could be. But I think the moments when he sees who she, the downside of the ruler that she could be, like when she executes Randall Tarley and
Right.
burns him alive, he's just horrified at that. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I stand on this one. I could see it, but I'm also like, I don't know, maybe.
I guess even more importantly and effectively, how it could shape the story to come. How do you think his love, his idealization of this character could play out in season 8? I mean, is this where, I know we've kind of talked about, I don't know if Hershey's the one that brought it up, does he end up betraying Dany to save her in his head, something like that, or does he sacrifice himself to save her? I mean, do you guys see either one of those scenarios playing out?
Oh man,
I mean, haven't we talked about he may cut a deal with Cersei or something to try to save everybody, or some sort of resolution like that?
Yeah. I mean, it would be the peak of Tyrion's story for him to, one who we've known for at least half the show to be incredibly selfish and think about himself. And obviously, even though his family hated him, he still put the family name first. But yeah, it would kind of be I guess, peak Tyrion to cut a deal with Cersei, sacrifice himself for Cersei's, enemy, basically, in Daenerys.
I don't know. Any thoughts from you, Keith, on that one, or?
Again, maybe I could see him trying to cut some sort of deal. We have in recent seasons seen Tyrion do a lot of outsmarting himself. So I think that might be sort of a culmination of that trend where, Dany picked him as her hand because of how smart and how capable he is. But we also saw that a lot of his plans and his strategic ideas were a little too clever for their own good. And that might be a direction that we're really going to see kind of explode in his face one last time.
Yeah, I think you might have nailed that one. I'm kind of leaning with you that he's going to get himself in trouble with another one of his big schemes, and this one may be the final big scheme that goes wrong for him that does him in. I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks Tyrion's going to make it too for some reason. So, moving on. The next one here, guys, I didn't really find it to be very interesting. I honestly thought the way that this was written up, played out on screen, and really hear the authors talking about how Danny and John's love story played out on the page versus the screen, and really the page just reinforced the fact that Danny kind of thought he was an adult, kind of goofy, where he was definitely more kind of infatuated with her, and I kind of think that's how it played out on screen. So unless you guys have anything else to chime in on that, I think we can skip down to the next one, where we it kind of fleshes out a vision that I forgot even took place.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, same. Let's move on.
Yeah, okay. So on to the Danny sees Snow on the throne. And honestly, I didn't even remember this little flashback played out, but I guess in season 2, when she's in the House of the Undying, there's this flashback where she's essentially in King's Landing in the throne room, and one could interpret that the throne room is either covered in ash or snow. But according to the script, it actually is snow that she saw. So I guess, what do you guys think about that?
I'm curious to see how the roof just gets blown off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously winter is there. So, as we had talked about on a podcast last season too, we're going to see all these places that we've grown accustomed to over the last 6 seasons in a completely different climate. Winter's there. Obviously the White Walkers, and man, anytime they go anywhere, it just freezes and it's cold. So I don't know if this vision is part of the White Walkers being around, or if it's just snow, or if this is post battle. But this is one of the things when I rewatch it, I was like you, Matt, I kind of forgot about it. So I'm really curious to see how this all plays out here in the throne room.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It almost looks like, we're talking about the roof here. I mean, clearly, Homeboy could have blown it off with his blue fire ice, or any of the dragons, really, if a battle makes it back to King's Landing. But I think your point is spot on. That is this the deep freeze? I mean, does King's Landing get lost? I mean, we could potentially revisit this when we talk about the teaser, because, I mean, the teaser, while it's a teaser, it could be exposing a lot of what's to come just based on the animation it shows. So, yeah, I'm glad I was reminded of this. It makes me want to go back and rewatch the seasons like I said I was going to do, and I haven't done yet. But I think it's very insightful that the script cleared it up and said, no, this is straight up snow, because I think that definitely helps to funnel the speculation towards, is this a metaphor for Jon Snow? Is this, as Nick said, is this the result of the Night Walkers, of the Night King? Who knows? What do you think, Keith? I mean, did you remember this, I guess? And what do you think now that you know it's snow in the throne that she saw?
I don't know. I know I didn't remember it because it was, God, at the time it almost felt like or like for the past several years, it's felt like it was an almost throwaway sequence. Like that whole bit in Yunkai felt like it was just, a speed bump on Danny's path toward Marine. But now that we're kind of looking back and thinking about it, I'm of the mind that it's metaphorical snow, that we're looking at Danny walking through the aftermath of a battle to see snow on the throne. So
look at this guy. That's that English degree.
Yeah, I don't know. That
beautiful.
Could be me, or that could be what we're looking at here. Especially given how like weirdly cryptic and very not literal so much of the prophecy and things that we've kind of seen play out so far through Game of Thrones has been. It kind of makes sense to me that it wouldn't be a purely straightforward vision of the future that she was seeing, that it was some sort of prophetic metaphor.
Huh.
What do you guys think?
I almost want to take it to the bank after the way you kind of sum that up. I mean, you almost had me convinced, but I don't know. this could just be me being a Game of Thrones fan, and with all the stuff they've done to my head, I second guess everything. But I think Jon Snow on the throne is just too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you put it, it's very artistic and beautiful when you think about this flashback. So, shit, I don't know. I don't know.
And I mean, it's a like destroyed, busted up, wrecked up throne room. So, who knows if it's going to be a good. I don't think it's going to be a good moment of Jon on the throne. And given what literally every single person has said about how the series finale is going to wreck everybody, I don't think we're going to get many happy moments. But
there's no way. There's no way this show ends
there.
I don't think anyone's going to feel good when this show ends. And I'm not just talking, we're going to be sad it's over for good. I think just emotionally we're all going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah. Like Tyrion tells.
That was pretty brutal. I mean, yeah, it's all wrapped up, but Christ.
Yeah.
That was like a season-long red wedding, essentially.
Yeah.
Keith, let me piggyback off your idea there.
Sure.
So in that scene, it's Dany walking through the throne room. She's carrying a torch. She puts the torch down. If the snow represents Jon and the torch represents Dany, maybe her laying the torch down is her, I don't know, either dying or giving up the claim to the throne to Jon.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Like
you flipped a switch in my brain there.
Yeah,
Keith,
man.
So.
Basically have a class going on right here.
Yeah.
Keith is teaching us right now.
Yeah, she's been carrying this torch of her birthright the entire show. And now that we have, the last moment revelation that Jon is legitimate Aegon Targaryen, shit, I can see it. I dig it. I'm down.
Sign this guy up, people.
I appreciate that reading, Hirsch.
Sign him up. All right, that was good stuff there, Keith. Thanks for that English lesson and how to interpret a visual when we have some written context. Next one, I could give a rat's ass. There's going to be a planned White Walker language. I'm glad it didn't make it. I mean, it would have been neat, but who cares? I kind of like how they're just very kind of animalistic and screechy. That's perfect. You don't really need a language.
It's almost more threatening too that they communicate without really saying anything.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you guys are into The Walking Dead, which is actually gotten somewhat good again, but I guess they've introduced the whisperers, and it almost sounded like the zombies were communicating. And I kind of liked it before when it was just, it was like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Next one, again, who cares? It's like Thrones. There's some Star Trek fans in there, clearly. I guess they've written about red shirts dying in the script, and that's a throwback to the original Star Trek TV series where if a crew member in a red shirt that you've never seen before went on a mission with the stars, be it Kirk, Sulu, whoever, they were going to die. And that's pretty much what the Game of Thrones writers are doing in Game of Thrones. It's like, great, cool. The other one, I think there was a time where Benioff and Weiss were kind of in trouble. They were going to do an alternate reality take on the Civil War, right? Where the Confederates were going to win. And I guess a bunch of people were up in arms like, oh, you guys are racist. Remember what you did in season 3 of Game of Thrones, and Dany is the white savior, all these brown people hoisting her up. And apparently that was just, again, in this day and age, people getting a little up in arms over what they saw without truly knowing what was written. And apparently this scene wasn't supposed to just be, hey, this white lady saved all these, people of color. It was actually talking about how the camera was supposed to be pulling back, and what Dany looked like a shrinking mote of white. I think that's what this author was trying to get over here, that there was some pushback over this, but in the end, the way it was written, it actually was written in a way, more in a literal sense, not that, yes, she is a white person saving people of color.
Yeah, and I know with with their HBO show that what was it, Confederate, I think it was going to be called. Obviously, there was some cause for concern when the whole riots with the tiki torches in Charlottesville came out around that. I think it was kind of a similar time too. But I haven't watched Man in a High Castle, but that show's still on Amazon, right? There's 2 or 3 seasons of that, and that's if I understand it correctly, is a show where what the world would be like if the Nazis had won World War II.
Yeah, it's good. I've been watching. I haven't finished the 3rd season yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't get into slavery clearly, but I mean obviously it has the Jewish angle and that type of stuff. So
right. Yeah, I understand in this day and age too. There's a lot going on politically that can affect what shows air and what shows don't air.
But like I said, I think the reason Confederate would have gotten the pushback it did versus Man in High Castle is because people kind of already labeled these two guys as being, same old stuff. Typecasting, white people win all the time, white people save, yada yada yada.
Well, you get to hear that with Star Wars, then I guess, right? Aren't they still working on Star Wars, or is that?
Oh yeah, episode 9's not done yet, but they tried to use
part of it,
non-white people and white men, but that pisses people off too. So who knows, dude?
You're pissing everybody off no matter what, I think.
Yeah, just that's what I mean. At this point in time where we're at, it just no one can do anything right. How about you, Keith? Any sage advice on this one, or
I don't know.
People kind of blowing things out of proportion, and now we got some clarification, but it really doesn't matter because it was 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, as far as the whole Danny White savior thing is concerned, to me that sounds like the concept was decent enough, but the execution was kind of poor. Which is why it created the sort of stir that it did. I don't know, that I personally sort of stopped caring about that a while ago, especially considering how fucking horribly the rest of her conquest of Essos went. She clearly was, not quite the savior that she was painted as at the end of season 3. But I don't know. I had moved on from really giving a crap about that a while ago.
Yeah, me too. It's like why people still dig this type of stuff up, but whatever. It's been clarified in the script, I guess. And another thing clarified in the script, Davos forgot he had his wife. I forgot that Davos even forgot he had his wife, so I don't really know if I care about this, but apparently he's got a thing for Miscendi, which I don't remember picking up on in the show, but it's been over a year at this point, so I could probably just forgot. Was he an old perv in the show? I mean, was he pervy?
I think he gave her some looks, but it wasn't nearly the look that Tormund was giving Brienne. So that one was a little more.
Her every time they saw.
Yeah, that one was a little more obvious.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's still like my favorite show. Little addition they made there that these two are or he wants to be a lover of Brienne's.
Yeah.
So the next one here, the author's kind of proposing this prophecy that we've talked about with Cersei that Maggie the Frog gave her. Essentially, you will be queen for a time, then there will come another, younger, more beautiful, to cast you down and take all that you hold dear. A lot of people, including myself, I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of us thought that was talking about Queen Marjorie, who did come and did kind of cast her down a bit, but now this writer's proposing that maybe it wasn't Marjorie after all. Maybe Dany is the younger queen that's going to come and cast her down and take everything she holds dear.
I mean, the second that Cersei blew up the Sept of Baelor, that was kind of pretty clear. I don't see that as much of a revelation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't really either. I mean, I actually kind of forgot about this part because I've been so focused on you're going to get choked out by your little brother part of the prophecy. I mean, that's the one to me that I don't think any of us really know what that fucking means yet.
Well, and the fact that the Vanity Fair piece actually, comments on the fact that the Valonqar part of the prophecy was cut from the scripts entirely. Like that didn't make any appearance in anything TV related so far. So, what do you guys think about that?
I don't know how I feel about that. I thought that was kind of an important part of Cersei's eventual, hopeful death. So I'm curious if they actually cut that out completely, or if they're just secretly disguising it, perhaps
saving it for a rainy episode.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping, because let's get real. This is where that type of shit, those are my biggest fears. This is where, Shithead couldn't finish the books, so he allowed other two creatives who didn't come up with everything in their heads, but he allowed them to kind of finish it based on his general plot points. And if they made the decision, well, we're just going to kill this prophecy, even though it is such a huge deal within the A Song of Ice and Fire community and the books, it's just one of those deals like, fucking George, man. That's what you get. That's what you get when you can't finish the damn books.
Yeah.
So that's how I took it. It's like, if this is legitimately has been cut and is gone because he couldn't give him the finished books in time so they could actually produce the show as close as possible to the books like they tried to do for the first few seasons. And it's like, damn it. Another thing changed. Another thing we'll never know. Or we will one day find out in the books and find out it was better in the show, and then it's just going to make everything suck.
Yeah. My question, though, do you guys remember which season the Maggie the Frog prophecy appeared in?
4?
5. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was... We were still working through the most recent book at that point, right?
Yeah, so the end of season 5 is the end of the 5th book.
Right.
John gets... Or no, I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
John
right.
John gets stabbed by the Night's Watch, correct? That's the end of season 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just been binge watching it, so they're all kind of running together in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that's how the last book ends. Basically, is with that.
So like they had the prophecy as part of their source material at that point. It's not like it hadn't been written. So I don't know. I could see something happening where we tune in for the premiere of season 8 and we're right back in the swamp, finishing up the second half of that scene.
Well, especially how 7 ends, where, I mean, Jaime pieces, her other brother pieces, basically her little brothers have left and they're on opposing sides of the war she's wanting to start. I mean, because they did leave under the guise that Cersei was going to help them still. I mean, Jaime knows she's not. That's why he ultimately leaves too. But Tyrion, Dany, and Jon, they think that they're going to get Cersei's help. Is that not how it ended, or am I crazy?
I don't know if Tyrion fully believes Cersei's helping, but
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think that was part of her game. But maybe secretly he knows that she's lying. But we don't know, because the scene with her and Tyrion in season 6, it cuts out before, so there's kind of a closed door, open-ended, we don't know how that conversation actually finished, because it got to the point where Tyrion thought he was going to actually lose his head in that room, and it didn't happen. So yeah, we don't know what other back alley dealings might have gone on between the two.
Got you.
Word.
All right. Well, I mean, I kind of agree with this person. I think the prophecy probably still is about Dany. I mean, Marjorie's been taken care of. That was easy. Just blew the fuck out of her and her entire family, and now they basically own, what's the castle, Highgarden or whatever. So, winner, chicken dinner. Next one, Euron's mutilated men. Who cares? Some fights are better than the others. I agree. The mysterious Varys and Melisandre scene. I don't know if I really care about that one either. I kind of picked up on that they don't really like each other, but they've known of each other.
Yeah, how could you watch that scene and not be like, oh, he's clearly threatening her?
Yeah, right.
Like,
I mean, it's like, okay, thanks. Drowned men, don't care. Cold hands, don't care. They're basically just said Benjen is cold hands, right? I mean,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
apparently in the book that's not the case, but in the show that sort of is the case, or it's at least a nod to the
yeah,
character.
the show just basically says, hey, he's fucking cold hands. We're not going to dick around and piss around and not finish it. He's cold hands.
There are too many damn characters anyway.
Exactly.
It's just a consolidation.
Love for below the line crew, who cares? Sam Sill montage, who cares? What did Sansa? This one's kind of good here. The Sansa question. So this is in reference to Sansa in season 7. Specifically, when did she know and when did she know it? In terms of when did she finally figure out that Littlefinger was trying to play her? And I guess the script implies that she didn't know it the entire time. She actually did have to kind of put some puzzle pieces together to figure it out. And the kind of linchpin for her going, oh, yep, he's definitely doing his little thing, was when they were talking and he says that Arya wants to be lady of the house. And she's like, Eddie, you're on drugs, bro. There's no way. So what'd you guys think? I mean, when you're going through season 7 and we get to the end and Sansa has that big twisty reveal, I mean, do you believe she knew that all along, or do you think it's something she kind of had to eventually come to the realization to, and it just wasn't very obvious to her at first?
It's probably the one thing that I am like super on board with. That makes way too much sense to me, because Littlefinger, as we've talked about, he's really, really good. And especially because Sansa for so long has kind of trusted him, and she hasn't seen her sister for such a long period of time, that I could see the jealousy. I could see the fear that Brienne would bail on her and take up with Arya. And yeah, it's the second that Littlefinger tells her that Arya wants to be Lady of Winterfell, she's like, fuck no, Arya would never want to do that. Not even now that she's like uber badass. And that gets the wheels turning for her, and she realizes that he'd been playing her.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Nick, real quick. What I also liked, and Keith briefly touched on it, is that the script confirms that there was tension between the two sisters, and the main reason Sansa ended up sending Brienne off to do whatever she's doing was to kind of take her off the board, because as Keith mentioned, when Sansa saw Arya train with Brienne, she's like, oh, Brienne, she's supposed to be my vanguard, my protector. Now she's just basically a timeshare between the Stark sisters.
Which goes back to Brienne's oath that she would return the Stark daughters to Winterfell, albeit, their mother's dead, their brother's dead, their father's dead, but, she eventually got them there.
Yeah, hey, I mean, two's better than none.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I'm with this writer here. I think Sansa didn't know until Littlefinger let slip that, Arya said she wanted to be, Wardeness of the North, which from the beginning of the show, Arya never wanted to be a lady in a castle. Like that was not her style at all. So, yeah, and Sansa knew that.
Which, I mean, how the hell does Littlefinger fuck that up? Did he just completely ignore her because she was such a little kid and he didn't really pay attention to who she was?
He must have assumed that, maybe since she's a little older now, she might realize the potential for power that she may have. But, yeah, Sansa doesn't buy into it, and then they have that fantastic reveal at the end there.
Other thought, and this is I'm spitballing here, but maybe the reason why Littlefinger kind of makes that slip up is that he places such a high premium on power as a motivating factor that, like, he can't see any reason why Arya wouldn't want to be Wardeness of the North. Maybe he just doesn't know her that well, or thinks that she's changed so much or something like that, that he's just like, yeah, of course she would want to be blah, blah, blah. And that's the lie that I'm going to tell.
Yeah, I mean, what little girl wouldn't want to be living in a castle, with a prince or a king, But obviously that's not Arya's case there.
Yeah.
He definitely misjudged that one, and it cost him dearly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, boys. So, I mean, that was kind of working our way through that Vanity Fair piece. Some good stuff in there, some stuff to talk about. Other stuff just kind of stupid. It's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But it was still fun to riff on. So we're going to move on to our Season 8 topics, and they're kind of revolving around death. Who's all going to die? Who's going to make it till the end? And apparently there was a Game of Thrones study that was done to predict which characters will survive Season 8. And as it turns out, this little study, its ultimate survivable character is none other than Hershey's hero, Cersei Lannister. I think some other interesting things we have here. The study found that more than half of the 330 studied characters, 186 died over the course of the first 7 seasons. That's pretty impressive. We've always known this show has a high body count, but seeing it in number form it's very nice. The study also, some of these analytics are great. We almost need a chart here, but it found that highborn females, less loyal characters who feature less regularly on the show are more likely to survive, while their respective counterparts are more likely to perish, which would be low-born male loyal characters who feature more. So that's kind of some of the things they were basing this study on. So when you think about characters like Tormund, that formula doesn't bode well from him. He's low-born male and very loyal, and he was featured a lot last season. It also makes that case for Varys. Same thing, low-born male, yada, yada, yada. But as I said, the study, its ultimate winner is none other than Cersei Lannister, and it makes sense based on their guidelines.
I don't want to see that though.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't want Cersei to win. I don't like this study. I think it's definitely interesting. I always like when they bring science and analytics into things like this, especially a TV show where they try to search for patterns, they search for commonalities, the common denominator, to see, okay, this person survived. What about another person on the opposite side, similar to them, can or can't survive? So it's definitely interesting. I'm not surprised to see Cersei on there. I just hope that doesn't ring true come the end of season 7.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like I like the analytics approach to it, but part of it sounds almost so outrageously specific with the sort of the limiters of everything, like highborn female who doesn't feature as much. I'm like, well, how are we calculating? Like, what are our parameters here?
Pull up. I don't know if you guys linked the study. It's ridiculous. Like, it's full on science going on. I mean, they've got a results table with the frequency percentages of deaths, the type of deaths, their occupation, religion, last known allegiance switched during show, yes or no.
Okay.
Dude, you should see this.
I'm pulling it up now.
This thing's like published. I mean, this is like someone's dissertation. They do have graphs. Holy shit.
Ooh, the Journal of Injury Epidemiology.
That's what I mean. Like, someone really took this seriously. And this is a legit study. I kind of glanced over it too, but now that I'm digging into it, I mean, someone that's gone through and had to do like a real deal research paper. I mean, they've got their ducks lined up here. I mean, they're using big words like outcome measures, statistical analysis, data sources, study populations.
This is intense.
This is craziness. I love it. So, hey, I guess we should give them a little more credit than we were about to cast off. I mean,
they have a survival curve.
They got math. I mean, they have N numbers, like N equals 137 type of shit. So, obviously, this is the real deal. Cersei wins. Game over. We don't even need to watch season 8 now. Science wins everything. This is great. I just hope this was not funded with tax dollars. I'm all about people having fun. I mean, I run 2 geeky websites, but please tell me, like, people weren't paid for this.
Here, it says no funding was sought for by the study. The original DVDs were already owned by the study authors.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
But who paid these people's salary? Or was this just like a fun project?
I mean, I don't know
this
how
is
much fun it
scholarship,
was,
man.
but
Hey, it's awesome. It's fantastic. I mean, I love that the fandom has reached this. I mean, this happens in the other stuff I'm into. I mean, Star Wars naturally leads itself into science through the science fiction route. But, I mean, the fact that someone really sat down and did a legit study that was accepted and published on this medical journal site. I mean, this world is just a beautiful place. The internet is a beautiful place. That's why, I mean, that's why the internet exists, is for this type of shit. Legitimate scientific studies on a fantastical show. Beautiful. Beautiful humans, keep it up. It's better than fighting. All right, so that's fun. I mean, it was fun. I'm glad they did. I know I'm kind of being sarcastic, making fun of it, but it's neat that someone took that time and actually applied science to it. Do I think Cersei's going to be the last one? Probably. I mean, considering everyone's saying that we're going to be all pissed and sad and we're going to need therapy, I mean, it makes sense that the most hated character makes it. And she'll probably kill everyone by her own hand somehow. She'll slit the dragon's throats too. I mean, she is the epitome of evil in Westeros. Okay, guys. Oh, we got another death bet coming from Richard Madden real quick, the guy that played Robb Stark many years ago. But someone caught up with him. He's talking about his new show, Bodyguard, on Netflix. And, he's talking about how he's just basically a viewer now like us because he's been off the show for so long. So they ask him, who do you think's going to live in the end? And he says, I think it's going to be 3 dragons flying around and everyone else is dead. Like, okay, thank you, Richard.
so it's either Cersei or 3 dragons.
Yep. That's based on essentially Watson-level type of predictions and a former Game of Thrones actor. That's what we're looking at.
I did like in that reporter in that interview that he got to the point where he's a viewer now, like that they mentioned him on the show, but he doesn't feel like that. He doesn't even remember
himself as playing that
right,
character.
like because it was so long ago. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was so long ago that he just doesn't. When they say Robb Stark on the show, it doesn't do anything for him other than, oh yeah, that character, and he's like, oh wait a second. That was me.
He doesn't immediately start parading around going, the king in the north.
King in the north. King in the north. King in the north. Oh, poor Rob. Poor Rob. All right, so moving on to the last little thing we had to talk about during this episode of Thrones Time. It is the official tease, which they call Dragonstone. It's been viewed over 15 million times at this point. Dropped on December 6th. The description was just fire and ice, period. The final season of Game of Thrones begins this April. Got S8. And if you've seen it, I'll try to throw it in the post for the cast just in case you've missed it. It's all CG based. There's no scenes. It's very cryptic. It starts out, gets some music playing. You see this kind of ice vapor going across the war table that was at Dragonstone that we saw when Dany was there. And then, halfway through, we start to see flames coming from the other side of the war table. And then they meet in the middle, and when they meet, a bunch of dragon glass springs up. It's craziness. So as these two elemental forces are joining in the middle, guys, the camera makes very clear to show the ice first eating up a direwolf, then eating up a dragon. And then they make it clear that the fire eats up a lion. They're kind of just taunting us at this point, right? I mean, that's some pretty heavy type of metaphorical shit, as Keith would say. Or are we just reading into this and they're just dicking around because they know we're nuts and this is the type of stuff that nuts latch onto?
all of them.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's,
I think the metaphor, it's too, yes, it's a metaphor, but it's a really fucking obvious metaphor. Right. Who's the first house that's going to be eaten up by or dealing with the White Walkers? The Starks, because they're the furthest north. Who's the second one? The Targaryen army, because they're the ones who are actually invested in doing the whole thing. Who's going to burn the whole fucker down? Cersei with the Lannisters. It's there. It makes sense. It's a song of ice and fire. Whatever. It's there. It's a thing. That's pretty much my entire feeling about the teaser, Matt. Like you said, it's the epitome of a tease. It says basically nothing other than going like, oh my god, dire wolves and dragons and lions and fire and ice and Game of Thrones season 8 is coming.
It's enough to make you mad.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get anything concrete in 2018 in terms of a real trailer, or do you think that's all being saved for Super Bowl type of time frame, January, February?
I'd be surprised if they wait till February if the show's coming in April.
Right.
I feel like around Christmas we'd see something a little bit more.
I could see a Christmas
maybe
drop.
another teaser, but I don't know that we get like a full length trailer. I don't know how much they're willing to show because they know people are going to watch regardless. Trailers and teasers are done to drum up interest. I don't know how much interest you really have to drum up for a show like this. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another at least teaser before on Christmas or the holidays.
So is there anything to read into when these two forces meet? It forms Dragonglass.
I mean, that's what they have to use to kill the White Walkers.
So is this also saying that while these two forces are going to fuck each other up, they're eventually going to come together to defeat their common enemy?
I'm still hesitant on that because of Cersei, but if something happens to her and, let's say Jaime takes over, then yeah, but it's hard for me to imagine there's anything that could convince Cersei to join forces after what she saw with the White that almost attacked her, and she still refused to worry about it, even though they're coming. So I feel like something would have to happen to Cersei first before the Lannister army would say, you know what, we should probably chip in on this fight.
Yeah, it's a teaser. It teased us. I feel teased. I don't know. It's a good one though. I mean, if we can say teasers are good because of how teasy it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I really am thinking about it, and it's just some CGI bullshit. And it has me speculating in my head, well, what the hell does all this mean? The Song of Ice and Fire, I get that, but blah, blah, blah. What's it mean when they meet? And it does all this, and it's titled Dragonstone. Is that just because it was on the war table? I don't know. Oh, my God, what's going to happen? Is it April yet? I don't know.
Yeah, I always think of, I think it was the last Mission Impossible movie, Fallout, when the first teaser, quote-unquote teaser came out for it was like 2 minutes long. Like, that's not a teaser. That's a trailer. Like, this for Game of Thrones is a teaser. It's just under a minute, or actually it's probably about 30 seconds till it's actual,
this
footage
is a
done.
blue ball teaser is what we call this one.
Yeah, when I think of a teaser, this is what it is.
All right, well, I hope you're right, because I want to see some real shit. I want, next time we talk, the next time we convene and throw on our cans, I want to actually get to some real speculating here. Not speculating on the past, scripts, some other writer's take on script and his or her own speculation. We need some damn scenes, HBO. Give us something. Images. We'll take images, the non-moving kind, the static stuff. We just need some scenes.
I'll take a blurry cell phone picture if you give it to me.
There you go. We want to speculate. I mean, why the hell will, when we talked months ago when there was the first leak there where it looked like Winterfell was burning. Why? Show us. Give us a lead. We need something. Not super teases.
I forgot about that till now.
Yeah, same here.
All right, boys. I think we've kind of navigated our way through all things new Game of Thrones that we haven't talked about since the last episode of Thrones Time. Thank you, as always, for joining me. And again, if something pops up, we'll sound the alarms, we'll blow on our horns, and we will get behind our mics and talk all things Game of Thrones. Until then, people, you're just going to have to wait and see if we get a teaser worth talking about. Or something leaks out, or like Nick said, we get a blurry nipple shot of something. You never know. But if it comes out and it's Game of Thrones related, we will pick it apart. Or Keith will at least do it intelligently. And I'll do it stupidly. And Nick will do it fanly. All right, friends. Until then, winter is here and it's not going away, at least until April. See you next time.